رحم الله من قرأ سورة المباركة الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله بارئ الخلائق الأجمعين، باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء، حبيب قلوبنا وشفيع ذنوبنا، أبي القاسم محمد. ثم الصلاة والسلام على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين، لا سيما ولي الله الحجة ابن الحسن صاحب الأمر والزمان. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. روحي وأرواح العالمين له الفداء، ولعنة الله على أعدائهم وعلى منكري فضائلهم من الأولين والآخرين إلى قيام يوم الدين. آمين رب العالمين. صلى الله عليك يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، صلى الله عليك يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة، يا غريب الغرباء، يا مظلوم كربلاء، السلام على من جعل الله الشفاء في تربته، السلام على من الإجابة تحت قبته، السلام على ساكن كربلاء. فيا ليتنا ثم يا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي، يا سادتي، فنفوز فوزا عظيما. السلام على الحسين وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. زينوا مجالسكم بذكر محمد وآل محمد. أحبائي, this last part, مقطع from Ziyarat Ashura, where we recite, we address Sayyid al-Shuhada, Ruhi lahul fida, and we say, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Peace be upon you, Ya Aba Abdullah. Shufu the construction of this statement. Assalamu alayka. Peace be upon you, Ya Aba Abdullah. Meaning that the address is direct to Sayyid al-Shuhada. And this point in Ziyarat Ashura is an important point of contemplation for those people within our circles who are under the false impression that you cannot talk to the Masoom Imam directly. They say when you go to the Darih, don't ask the Imam, ask Allah through the Imam. La, this is a khata and a mistake in their aqidah. Because within Ziyarat Ashura, you are taught to address the Imam directly. Assalamu alayka, the kaf in the phrase Assalamu alayka, Arabic grammar, is a pronoun that refers to the other party that is present, hadir, meaning that Imam al-Hussein hears you, sees you. And to speak to other than the Imam in the presence of the Imam, aslan, leads to su'ul adab. And therefore, Ahibai, it is important that we understand these aspects of our aqidah such that we are able to fully realize the potential that is vested within the institution of ziyarah. Tamam. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. وَعَلَى الْأَرْوَاحِ الَّتِي حَلَّتْ بِفِنَائِكَ. And peace be upon those souls that achieved eternity with you. وَعَلَى الْأَرْوَاحِ الَّتِي حَلَّتْ بِفِنَائِكَ. They dissolved themselves and their existence into your saha, Ya Aba Abdullah, in your company. And if we understand this, it is important for us Matamis that within these days, we pay attention to and we seek ma'rifah in regards to the shuhada of Karbala. Who were these companions of Imam al-Hussein? Their names, their characteristics, their attributes, their background. And then it becomes our responsibility that one by one, we evaluate their personalities and we see what characters and qualities do we need to nurture within ourselves such that we can qualify to be from the Ansar and the Ashab of the Imam Zaman of our time, in the same way that Habib and the Abis and the Nafi' and so on and so forth were Ansar and Ashab of the Imam Zaman of their time. There is absolutely thick, have full confidence in this statement. There is not a glimmer of hope for anyone to be from the Ansar of Imam al-Hujjah if they do not take inspiration from the companions of Imam al-Hussein. Impossible. The reason being, one reason being that the slogan of the Ma'soom Imam upon his reappearance is Ya Litharat al-Hussein. The companions and the ashab of Sahib al-Amr are fully welded and invested in Ashura from all its aspects, from its history to its aqaid, to its azadari, to every value that was propagated on the day of Ashura. If we understand this, the point for our majlis tonight is to shed light on those shining stars, shuhada, on the day of Ashura from the lineage or from the children of Maulana Ameer Al Mu'mineen, Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, Ruhi lahul fida. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. And the idea is that we are blessed, that we are sitting at the doorstep of Ameer Al Mu'mineen, Qasimun Nari wal Jannah. And as we continue in these nights to give our condolences to Ameer Al Mu'mineen, it is only fair, if not necessary, that we honor the shuhada from the children of Ameer Al Mu'mineen at the doorstep of Ameer Al Mu'mineen. Having said this, the Majlis has two major components to it. Number one, we will look at the words of the historians, the opinions of the historians into, number one, how many children of Ameer Al Mu'mineen were actually shaheed in Karbala on the day of Ashura. This is number one. And then number two, what are the names of the children of Ameer Al Mu'mineen that were martyred in Karbala? Within the second point, there are certain names that have been listed that Ameer Al Mu'mineen named his children, either Abu Bakr or Omar or Uthman, and hence our discussion for tonight will be to try and understand what is the reality behind the names of these children of Ameer Al Mu'mineen that were also shaheed in Karbala. All of this with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Tamam. In regards to Aqwal al-Ulama, historians that narrate the number of children of Ameer Al Mu'mineen that were martyred in Karbala, we have numbers, and there are differences amongst the ulama, historians, for a number of reasons. We shall not delve into them for the purpose of tonight's majlis. But we have, for example, Shaykh al-Mufid and Shaykh al-Mufid and the Sahib al-Tariq al-Tabari. Al-Tabari, both of them narrate that there were 5 children of Ameer Al Mu'mineen that were shaheed on the day of Ashura. Imam al-Hussein, Sayyid al-Shuhada, Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, and the 3 brothers of Abu al-Fadl, meaning 5. However, when you come to other texts of history, you will find that there is a maximum number that is recorded amongst the historians that state that Ameer Al Mu'mineen had 14 sons on the day of Ashura that were all shaheed. From these 14 sons, you have Imam al-Hussein, Sayyid al-Shuhada, you have Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, and then you have the 3 brothers of Abu al-Fadl. 1, 2, 3, meaning we come to how many? 5. After that, there is Muhammad al-Asghar, who is the younger brother of Muhammad ibn Hanafiya or Muhammad al-Hanafiya, who was also shaheed. And then we have a son of Ameer Al Mu'mineen by the name of Ibrahim. He was also shaheed. We have a son by the name of Yahya. He was also shaheed. We have a son, 2 children, 2 sons of Ameer Al Mu'mineen by the name Abdullah. 9 and 10, they were also shaheed. And then we have another son of Ameer Al Mu'mineen by the name of Ubaidullah. He was also shaheed. And then we have another son of Ameer Al Mu'mineen who historians say his name was Abbas Al Asghar. Now, there is kalam between the historians that Abbas Al Asghar, was he actually the son of Ameer Al Mu'mineen or was he the son of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas? And you find that historians on both sides have a very strong case as to who that personality might be. And it is very possible that there were 2 shuhada by the name of Abbas al-Asghar, one being the son of Ameer Al Mu'mineen and one being the son of Abu al-Fadl. But in any case, as of right now, see, within the Hawza as academics, Hawza on one side, as academics, when we find conflicting information, particularly in aspects of history, and more particularly in the aspect of Karbala, none of us have the right to reject one narration over the other. What we do is, if we find both of them to be conflicting, we put them on the side. We portray both aspects of history to the people who are here for azah, and we leave the final judgment to when the Imam comes. This is the most respectable way to deal with Islamic literature without having done dhulm on this personality, Abbas al-Asghar, be it from the children of Ameer Al Mu'mineen or the children of Abul Fadil. This is the academic way to deal with this. And then we have hadith, or then the historians come forward and mention we have 12 children, 13 and 14, that there was the two sons of Ameer Al Mu'mineen, one by the name of Omar, who was also Shaheed in Karbala, and the 14th son is the one who is named as Abu Bakr. This is what is listed in the books of history. If you come back to Alam al-Muzaffar, he is of the opinion that Ameer Al Mu'mineen had 11 sons who were Shaheed in Karbala. So the stronger opinion lies between 11 and 14. This is maqam number one. If we understand this, Ahibai, the second part of our majlis is that how is it that Ameer Al Mu'mineen named 3 of his sons after the people of Saqifa? How could he have named his son Uthman, Abu Bakr and Umar? And you find that within the present day, there are a number of mukhalifin from the other side, and unfortunately, a big number of the batteries from within our circles who then come forward and use these historical narrations where they say, look, even Imam Ali named his children Uthman and Umar and Abu Bakr. In fact, there was no enmity between them. All these stories that you hear about Saqifa and the dispute between the Shia and the Sunni, or the dispute between Imam Ali and the Khulafa of Saqifa, this is all fabricated. This is sectarianism. It has been blown up over time. And in fact, the relationship was very good between them. And the proof is that Imam Ali named his children after Umar, Abu Bakr and Uthman. Tamam. This is the claim that is put forward. How do we reply back to this? To reply back to this claim, Ahibba'i, we have answers that are divided into 2 parts. Number 1, we have a jawab am, we have a general answer. And number 2, a jawab khas, particular answers towards each and every one of these 3 names. In regards to jawab am, number 1. Who said that these 3 names, Abu Bakr, Uthman and Omar, were exclusive to those 3 individuals of Saqifa at that time in Islamic history? Such that if on the basis that Ameer Al Mu'mineen named his son Uthman, doesn't mean that this name Uthman was exclusive to Uthman ibn Affan during that time in Islamic history, such that anybody else who came and named their son Uthman, it means that it is out of love for Uthman ibn Affan. This claim, where did this claim come from, that the name Uthman was exclusive to Ibn Affan? And the person who makes such a claim needs to come with proof to substantiate it. Otherwise, as you know, within the field of academia, any claim without proof is like trying to purchase something without currency. Into the dustbin, وَبِئْسَ الْمَصِيرِ, if there is no proof. It's the reality of the matter, number 1. In regards to a jawab am. Number 2, we come into jawab khas, and this is the core of the majlis. Ahibba'i dakkiku, pay attention with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Number 1, the naming of Ameer Al Mu'mineen. Why did Ameer Al Mu'mineen name his son Uthman? Uthman, as you know, is one of the brothers of Abul Fadl Abbas. Ameer Al Mu'mineen, with Sayyida Al Baneen, who was blessed with 4 sons. Abul Fadl Abbas, who was the eldest, and then there was Abdullah, there was Ja'far, and there was Uthman. 4 sons. Inshallah, tomorrow, the first night in Karbala for the Matamis, tomorrow night's Masaib will be the Masaib of Abul Fadil, inshallah. But to show you Abul Fadil's relationship with his brothers, you know, when a number of the shuhada from one, the number of the Shabab from Bani Hashim became Shaheed. Abul Fadil looked at his three brothers, Ja'far, Abdullah and Uthman, and he says to them, I want you to go out into battle and I want to see you become martyrs. وَأَحْتَسِبُكُمْ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ. This word of Abul Fadil is extremely deep. وَأَحْتَسِبُكُمْ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ. He says, I want to see you as martyrs, to be slain whilst defending Imam al-Hussein, and the grief that I will experience when I see my brothers killed in the path of Imam al-Hussein. I want to be raised in front of Allah with this pain that I gave my brothers for Sayyid al-Shuhada. So Abul Fadil, when you go to recite his ziyarah, something ajib and ajib. You look at the sifat of Abul Fadil, Sahib al-Basira. Maqtal then goes on to say, فَقَاتَلُوا وَقُتِلُوا بَيْنَ يَدَيْهِ. Historians now, those who specialize within the Maqtal, have a number of interpretations. What does this mean? فَقَاتَلُوا وَقُتِلُوا بَيْنَ يَدَيْهِ. They fought until they were killed. بَيْنَ يَدَيْهِ, meaning what? Could mean one of two things. Either they were fighting in the battlefield and Abul Fadil was personally watching over their jihad until they were slain. So they fought whilst he was watching them. Number one. Number two, Baina Yaday could also mean that Abul Fadil entered into the Maidan with them and the four brothers were engaged in jihad, and one by one they became shaheed around Abul Fadil. Two of these opinions, none of which can be discounted. In any case, tamam. So our first jawab khas, in that this youngest brother or young brother of Abul Fadil by the name of Uthman, why would Ameer Al Mu'mineen name his son Uthman? And if he named him Uthman, is it because of his love or for his friendship with Uthman ibn Affan? Absolutely not. Because we have hadith from Ameer Al Mu'mineen himself, which is found in the text Maqatilut Talibiyin. Maqatilut Talibiyin is a maqtal that is narrated by one of the ulama of the Amma, Abul Faraj al-Isfahani. He is a non-Shia who wrote the maqtal or transcribed parts of the maqtal. Inside of his book, when he refers to Uthman ibn Ali, he states a narration where Ameer Al Mu'mineen says, I have named this son of mine Uthman out of my love for the companion of Rasulullah by the name of Uthman ibn Mad'un. Uthman ibn Mad'un was one of the most loyal companions to Rasulullah and to Ameer Al Mu'mineen, such that Ameer Al Mu'mineen would describe Uthman ibn Mad'un by saying he was that quality of a person who could never have been deceived by the dunya. Uthman ibn Mad'un. And you find that Imam Sahib al-Amri wa Zaman, salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayh, in Ziyarat al-Nahiya, Imam Sahib al-Amr in Ziyarat al-Nahiya sends his greetings, salams to a number of the Shuhada of Karbala. And Imam al-Hujjah, when it comes to Uthman, he says, Assalamu alayka ya Uthman ibn Ali, Samiyu Uthman ibn Mad'un. Imam al-Hujjah in Ziyarat al-Nahiya says, Salam be upon Uthman, the son of Ameer Al Mu'mineen, who was named in honor of Uthman ibn Mad'un. This is number one. Number two, in regards to the name Umar, did Ameer Al Mu'mineen name his son Omar, regardless of whether there were other people called Omar or not. When you dive deep into history, you will actually find that the name of the son of Ameer Al Mu'mineen was not Umar, it was actually Amr. Now let me make something little bit clear for you, and we will back up the claim with proof, inshallah. The difference between Amr and Omar. See, Omar, the word Omar is written how? In pronunciation, Amr and Omar, the difference is a fatha on the ain and a dhamma on the ain to the ear. Sahih? However, when you are writing in Arabic language, the difference between Amr and Omar, the difference between Amr and Omar is denoted by the letter waw at the end. So if you wanted to write the name Omar in Arabic, you would write 3 letters: Ain, Mim, and the Ra. However, if you wanted to write the name Amr, you would write Ain, Mim, Ra, and the Waw. See the Fatha and the Dhamma and the Kasra, the Harakat, when we are reading the Quran. Original Arabic language didn't have this Fatha, Dhamma, Kasra, Sukun. These are additions that were put into Arabic language much later on to make pronunciation and reading and distinguishing between different words and tenses to be much easier. But in its original form, Arabic language is without the Fatha, Dhamma, Kasra. In fact, even now, if you go to the bookstores over here in Najaf Al Ashraf, you buy a number of the textbooks, you'll see any literature, book of hadith, go and buy a copy of Usulul Kafi. Majority of the times, or Kamilul Ziyarat, you open the book, you'll find the hadith is without Fatha, Dhamma, Kasra. There is grammatical art in terms of recognizing and understanding where is the Fatha, where is the Dhamma, where is the Kasra, Fulan, Tilan, things like that. So therefore, when the books of history were being authored back in the day, they didn't have this Fatha, Dhamma, Kasra. The manner in which historians distinguished between Umar and Amr was through the addition of the letter Waw at the end of the name, or at the end of these 3 letters Umar. Tamam? We're together? What then happened is, we will back this claim with proof. What then happened is, over time, as manuscripts were being copied and written down and passed on generation to generation, when it came particularly to the name Amr, the waw would get dropped. This is known as tashif, when there are transcription errors. Many times when a person is copying a book, sometimes when you're formatting an email on the computer, you're typing out anything, you are copying up from a master document, there are transcription errors that happen. This is human. And it is unintellectual to assume that transcription errors didn't happen when it came to narrating textbooks or conveying and copying textbooks from one copy to another copy to another copy, generation after generation. So an honest, genuine mistake from the historian who is writing could happen, that they dropped the waw. This is possibility number 1. Possibility number 2 is that we have malicious scholars, malicious historians, particularly who were in the payroll of the madrasa of Saqifa, who would purposely omit the letter waw when they were writing history that was in regards to the children of Ameer Al Mu'mineen, and particularly Amr ibn Ameer Al Mu'mineen. They would change the letter waw, or they would remove it altogether, such that future generations would then believe that Ameer Al Mu'mineen also named his son Omar. As you know, for the mukhalif and the ulama of the mukhalifin, they have absolutely no answer towards the crime that was performed in regards to the killing of Sayyid Mohsin, the crushing of Sayyidah Zahra between the door, and the fact that Sayyidah Zahra did not allow either Abu Bakr or Umar to attend her funeral. There is no answer. Which is why majority of the times you see the ishkal is what? They don't have an answer. So what they will say, it doesn't make sense that Ameer Al Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib, who is Asadullah, how could he be so courageous and be inside of the house and watch while his wife was attacked? They can only come with a hypothetical supposition. They cannot answer to this ishkal. They cannot answer to this historical reality which is within their own books. In any case, the answer for why Ameer Al Mu'mineen was silent, we have addressed many times in Fatimiyya. But see, the Mukhalif doesn't understand the concept of sabr and doesn't understand the concept of a madloom, because they've always been on the side of the dhalim. In any case, tamam. So the case that is put forward over here is that the name of the son of Ameer Al Mu'mineen was Amr and not Umar, and that this waw was dropped over the generations. What is the proof for this? I shall narrate for you two historical evidences that are given to us in regards to the name of Ameer Al Mu'mineen. It was actually Amr and not Umar. The first proof that we have, and this is again from the books of the Mukhalifin, the non-Shia historian by the name of Ibn Kathir. In his text, Ibn Kathir died in the year 630 AH. Number one. Number two, Hakim Nisapuri, who is also a scholar from the Mukhalifin, who died in 405 AH. And then you have Tariq of Ibn Asakir, three of the greatest historians, non-Shia from the Amma. When they write about the biography of this son of Ameer Al Mu'mineen, they clearly state within the books of history that the name of this son of Ameer Al Mu'mineen was Amr ibn Ali. Ain, Mim, Ra, and Waw, not Omar. We have early texts that go back as early as 600 AH, 400 AH, that state it was Amr. And these people, the likes of Ibn Asakir and Ibn Kathir and Hakim Nisapuri, it's not that they wrote history based on verbal narrations. They have taken it from other books that were authored between them, before them. So we understand that there existed books even before 400 AH, where it was very clear that the name of the son of Ameer Al Mu'mineen was Amr and not Omar. Person may ask why the name Amr. Actually, the great grandfather of Ameer Al Mu'mineen, his name was Amr ibn Abd Manaf. And Ameer Al Mu'mineen named his son out of the love for his great grandfather. Amr ibn Abd Manaf is also known as Hisham, or Hashim, sorry, not Hisham, is known as Hashim, which is why the youth from the family of Rasulullah are known as Bani Hashim. So Ameer Al Mu'mineen named his son Amr out of love for his grandfather. Malicious scholars came later on and removed the waw to think that he named his son Omar. What was the reason behind this? Because you need motive for forgery. We will come to that at the end of the lecture. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So we understand why Ameer Al Mu'mineen named his son Uthman, out of love for Uthman ibn Mad'un. We also understand that Ameer Al Mu'mineen never named his son Omar. He actually named his son Amr out of love for his great grandfather Amr ibn Abdul Manaf, who is also known as Hashim. Tamam. We come to the third shaheed from the shuhada of Ameer Al Mu'mineen, whose names you find in the books as Abu Bakr ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib. How do we explain this? Did Ameer Al Mu'mineen name any of his sons Abu Bakr or no? Tamam. As we delve into the answer for this particular name, it should also be very clear to us, Ahibai, that actually Abu Bakr is not a name. In fact, Bain al Qawsain, before I start this answer, because it has a number of parts, Shabab, somebody might come and say, Shaykhuna, majalis such as these and talks such as these are very sectarian in their nature. Why are we provoking sectarianism during the time of Imam al-Hussein? The idea over here is that to correct the aqidah of the lovers of Ali Muhammad and to correct the injustices that are done even by history when it comes to the children of Ameer Al Mu'mineen. When we sit here and we discuss issues like these, are we respectful or not? We are respectful. Are we academic or not? We are academic, because every claim is being substantiated with proof. Sectarianism only happens, Ahibai, when you start advocating violence on the other party. Sectarianism is when I stop behaving with humanity towards the other side, even if they have a different aqidah. But discussing haqq and truth in a respectable manner is far from sectarianism. This is applicable not only in deen, but in every aspect of life. Today, look at the political situations. Now, we don't like to mix, or we don't like to involve issues of the mimbar and aqa'id with politics. But to give you an example, you look at the current political situation in the Middle East today. If I come and I say that all these Middle Eastern countries are khawana, are traitors to the Palestinian cause, does this make me sectarian towards the other people? No, it is the bayan, it is the statement of a truth, of a fact that we see in front of us, clearer than the sky. Sahilola. Same thing when it comes to historical issues in regards to the wilayat and the imamat of Ameer Al Mu'mineen and the children of Ameer Al Mu'mineen. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Tamam. So the question comes back over here is that did Ameer Al Mu'mineen name his son Abu Bakr or no? As we delve into the answer, the first thing to understand is Mata means that Abu Bakr is not a name. It is a kuniya, the father of Bakr. See, this kuniya is a title. Sometimes the title would mean that, for example, Abu Muhammad, the father of Muhammad. It could imply, the title demonstrates that you are a father and you have X, Y, and Z as a children. And sometimes what it could mean is that it symbolizes a character or a trait that you may have. So for example, when you look at Mawla Abbas alayhi salam, we say Abul Fadil or Abul Fadl, meaning the father of Fadl. Yes, he had a son by the name of Fadl, but Fadl means grace and graciousness in its entirety. So when you say Abul Fadl, it means he's the embodiment of grace in its entirety. Therefore, Abu Bakr per se is not a name, it is a title. This title can either be given by the parents or it can be given by the community at large based on the traits that he displays. Tamam? This is number one. Number two, if we understand that Abu Bakr is not a name but it is a title, a kunya that was given to him, we come to understand from historical texts that Abu Bakr's kuniya, as a kuniya, this first person who usurped the right of Ameer Al Mu'mineen, his title as Abu Bakr was not even mashhoor, well known in early Islamic history, up to the point of the shahadat of Ameer Al Mu'mineen, and for the time that he sat on the seat of Khilafah, his title was not commonly known as Abu Bakr. His title was Abu Fasil. There is a reason why he was called Abu Fasil. If Allah gives us the opportunity to be together on Farhatul Zahra, Eid al-Zahra, I'll mention to you what is the meaning of this title, Abu Fasil, and the derogatory connotation behind it. The Makkans and the Quraysh used to call him this. The proof for this is where? We find the proof for this within historical texts. And this is found within the book Tahdhirul Abqari, Tarikh al-Tabari, and in the text Bidaya wa Nihaya. All three of these are respectable historical texts within or authored by the ulama of the Amma. The passage mentions this. قبض رسول الله وأبو سفيان على صدقة نجران. When Rasulullah was Shaheed, Abu Sufyan was in Najran, the outskirts of Makkah, collecting the religious dues. So the news of the Shahadat of Rasulullah came to Abu Sufyan. Abu Sufyan's first reaction was this. فَقَالَ مِنُ Abu Sufyan فَقَالَ مَنْ قَامَ بِالْأَمْرِ. Who has become the successor? See, reading history is one thing, but analyzing history is an art and a science. It's a science. If the news came to him that Rasulullah has just passed away, why was there no demonstration about the grief of Rasulullah? Why wasn't the first reaction tears? Why wasn't the first reaction to weep and wail? Why wasn't the first reaction to ask how and why? How did he die? The first reaction, who has taken over the affairs of leadership? And this sort of question shows you what was the motive of people like Abu Sufyan for entering into the fold of Islam. فَمَنْ قَامَ بِالْأَمْرِ. He asks, who has become the Khalif? They said to him, قَالُوا Abu Bakr. They said that Abu Bakr has become the Khalif. What was the response of Abu Sufyan? قَالَ Abu Fasil. He is asking out of shock. When you tell me that Abu Bakr has become the Khalifa, which Abu Bakr? Who Abu Bakr? Do you mean Abu Fasil? So this is an indication over here that his title was not even mashhur by this name at that time. People knew him to be as Abu Fasil. It is only during the time of Muawiyah and later on when the historical texts of the Mukhalifin started to become codified, that this title of Abu Bakr was then pushed to be that which is most mashhur. We have to understand this historical point, which is from their own books. Then what does Abu Sufyan go on to say? Inni la ara amran la yuskinuhu illa dam. I do not see this event of Khilafah ending except with blood. Because Abu Sufyan himself had reservations about somebody from Bani Tamim taking up the position of Khilafah whilst in the presence of Bani Umayyah, until there was an understanding during the time of Ibn Khattab. So our first answer is that this title was not mashhur to the extent that people knew him by this title. His title was Abu Fasil. So even on the assumption, the answer is based on an assumption. Even on the assumption that Ameer Al Mu'mineen named his son Abu Bakr, it would have no correlationship to the first person who usurped the rights of Ameer Al Mu'mineen, because his title at that point in time in Islamic history he was more well known as Abu Fasil. This is number one. Number two, Ahibai, we have enough evidence within our texts and within the texts of the Mukhalifin that this title, Abu Bakr, was forcefully and wrongfully attributed to the children of Ameer Al Mu'mineen by later scholars or historians who were corrupt and on the payroll of Bani Saqifa for a motive. Again, like we said, the name Amr, that motive we will look at towards the end of the lecture. However, the motive inside of this, or the proof for this is where? Is that you will find within historical texts that ulama of the mukhalifin even tried to push the narrative that one of the titles of Imam as-Sajjad was Abu Bakr. And they themselves, within their own books, discard and reject the fact that he had such a title. You find that within the historical text, the historian by the name of Al-Hasan ibn Hamadan al-Khusaybi, respected historian from the non-Shia. He died in which year? 334 AH. So you can look at the quality of the primary sources that we are referring back to. Early Islamic period, 334 AH. In his book Hidayat al-Kubra, he states, وَكُنِيَّتُهُ, yani the kunya of Imam Sajjad, وَكُنِيَّتُهُ Abu al-Hasan wa Abu Muhammad. He had two kunyas by the name of Abu al-Hasan and Abu Muhammad. وَرُوِيَ, and it is being narrated, أَنَّهُ, that he, kunniya bi Abi Bakr, that Imam Sajjad's title was Abu Bakr. Look what he goes on to say. وَلَمْ تَسُحْ هَذَا الْكُنِيَّةِ, or هَذِهِ الْكُنِيَّةِ. This was a false attribution to Imam Sajjad. And if you were to go back into history, Matamis, you will find that there was a big effort to push the identity of Imam Ali ibn Musa Rida and to also refer to him through the kunya Abu Bakr. And one of the promoters of this title was a companion by the name of Abu Salt. So the question comes over here is that we have two examples, two cases within history which show us that the title Abu Bakr, historians later on falsely tried to attribute the title Abu Bakr to Imam Sajjad and falsely tried to attribute it to Imam al-Ridha. Why would they do this? This was an active effort to try and hide the reality of the conflict that took place in Saqifa and the usurpation of the rights of Ahlul Bayt during that event. At the time of Imam Rida, Ma'mun had big motive to try and promote the title of Imam Rida as Abu Bakr. Why? Because he appointed Imam Rida as the heir apparent. And with this, he lost a number of his political allies on the ground who were not happy with the selection of Imam Rida. Even if Ma'mun was only appointing Imam Rida to win the support of the Shias who are not politically aware. Shufu, how history and how these la'ins played with history in order to push forward their motive. And the same thing when it came to Imam Sajjad. The reality of the matter is, Ahibai, that historians very fully well understood the fact that the tragedy of Karbala is nothing but a fruit and a consequence of what happened in Saqifa. And they tried to omit and disconnect between the events of Saqifa and Ashura. One of the ways in which they did is by altering the names of the shuhada, such that if you would read through the Maqtal and you read through history and you say, yes, there were people who were martyred on the day of Ashura, their names were Abu Bakr, their names were Umar and Uthman, straight away you have a disconnect. Imam actually had good relationship with those people. And what happened in Karbala is separate from what those people did. La. If we understand this, you begin to understand why in Ziyarat Ashura it has been emphasized a number of times. وَلَعَنَ اللَّهُ أُمَّةً دَفَعَتْكُمْ عَنْ مَقَامِكُمْ وَأَزَالَتْكُمْ عَنْ مَرَاتِبِكُمُ الَّتِي رَتَّبَكُمُ اللَّهُ فِيهَا. اللهم لأن أول ظالم ظلم حق محمد وآل Muhammad. Who is this first person who did dhulm on Ali Muhammad? Who is the first person to remove Ali Muhammad from their position that was given to them by Allah? The reality of the matter is that we cannot fully understand Karbala if we disconnect it from Saqifa. Karbala happened because of Saqifa. This is why one of the ulama, he states very beautifully in a poem, the arrow that was shot at Imam al-Hussein on the day of Ashura, the bow for that arrow was made on the day of Saqifa. And hence, we need to realize that Karbala was an explosion that didn't happen overnight. It culminated from that first dhulm upon the tragedy of Rasulullah. 60 years later, it exploded into this massacre on the plains of Karbala. And a person must have wa'i, must be cognizant of this reality to fully understand why Imam al-Hussein stood up on the plains of Karbala. It is not out of coincidence that when Imam al-Hussein was on the battlefield and everyone was defeated, they were not willing to come forward to fight Imam al-Hussein when he was alone in the battlefield. What did Shimar al-La'in do to incite the people to come forward in war against Imam al-Hussein? They said that this is the son of that quarrelsome Ali. For all the hate that you have in your heart for Ali ibn Abi Talib, remove it on him. You cannot disconnect Saqifa from Ashura. 14 sons of Ameer Al Mu'mineen martyred on the plains of Karbala. 13 sons, their sacrifice on one side, and the Imam Al Hussein, the son of Ameer Al Mu'mineen, on the other side. The sacrifice of the sons of Ameer Al Mu'mineen on one side, the sacrifice of the daughters of Ameer Al Mu'mineen on the other side. Mata means today we are here to give pursa and to recognize the jihad, sacrifices of the daughter of Ameer Al Mu'mineen. The sacrifice of owning Muhammad that Sayyidah Zainab put forward. Shabab, just recite one salawat ala Muhammad wa al Muhammad before we begin the Masaib, inshallah. Mata means Sayyidah Zainab, without a doubt, alima ghair mu'allama, scholar of the highest rank. Sayyidah Zainab was a scholar. Sayyidah Zainab had sabr. Sayyidah Zainab had courage. Sayyidah Zainab had vision. Sayyidah Zainab was all of that. But together with that, Sayyidah Zainab had a very delicate heart. She had a very gentle heart. And the entire Ahlul Bayt knew this and recognized this. Which is why on the 19th of Shahrul Ramadan, when Ameer Al Mu'mineen was struck on the head, blood is flowing down his face and his chest. The intensity of the poison, he was leaning on the shoulders of Imam Hassan and Imam Al Hussein. When they were bringing him back to the house from Masjid Al Kufa, Ameer Al Mu'mineen looks at Imam Hassan and he says to him, Abba Muhammad, let me walk from here. Imam Al Mujtaba says, oh my father, you are not in a state where you can walk by yourself. Do you know what was Ameer Al Mu'mineen's response? He said, Zainab is in the house. Zainab's heart is gentle. Zainab's heart is very delicate. If she sees that her father is unable to walk, Zainab will be shattered. The same thing you find on the shahadat of Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba. Imam al-Hussein is sitting by the side of Imam al-Mujtaba. Because of the poison given to him, Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba is coughing blood and is vomiting pieces of his inside into a tasht matamis. Sayyida Zainab comes into the room. Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba is not able to speak. Why? Can you imagine this mandar? While he is coughing out blood, he says, Ya Aba Abdullah, hide the tasht. Imam al-Hussein says, why? Imam Mujtaba says, Zainab is at the door. Zainab's heart is gentle. Zainab is delicate. If she sees this, Zainab will die out of grief before I die from the poison. This is for this reason, Matamis, on the day of Ashura, at the final moment, when Imam al-Hussein fell from the horse in a state of sajda, and the enemy came and they kicked Imam al-Hussein, Martyrs, shivers on the chest of Imam al-Hussein. At that point, what was the reaction of Sayyid al-Shuhada? Maktal says he looked towards the Khaybaga. He said, Zainab! Zainab, don't look! This blade of shiver! Zainab, don't look! Imam al-Hussein knew Zainab's heart is very gentle. Zainab is delicate. For this reason, Ahbai, Allah knows what Imam al-Hussein felt when Awn and Muhammad came to seek for permission. Maktal narrates that as the Bani Hashim were entering into the Maidan, Sayyida Zainab calls her two sons, Awn and Muhammad. She sits them down in the khayma. Allahu Akbar. Mu'mineen, tomorrow Matamis, you are going to Karbala tomorrow. Matamis, with your grief, it is as if you can smell the turba Karbala from Najaf. Allah. She sits them inside of the khayma, Awn and Muhammad. She says to them, my two sons, Awn and Muhammad, do you know why you were here in the plains of Karbala? They say to him, Mother, we are here to defend and sacrifice our lives for the Imam Zaman of our time. Do you know what Sayyida Zainab replied back to her sons? She said to Awn and Muhammad, tomorrow when you enter into the battlefield, tomorrow do not make me ashamed. Do not make me ashamed in front of my mother Fatima. I want you to go to the battlefield and do not fall short in giving your life for Sayyidina. Allah, Allah, Allah. Who is this Zainab? This Zainab who has such a delicate heart is telling her sons, do not embarrass me in front of Fatima Zahra. Maktal mentions that Awn and Muhammad go to Imam al-Hussein. They go and they ask for permission from Sayyid al-Shuhada. Sayyid al-Shuhada looks towards the tent of Sayyida Zainab. Sayyida Zainab is in a state of salat and in a state of sujood. So he gives permission to Awn and Muhammad. The Maktal narrates that both these two boys, these two sons of Sayyida Zainab, they entered into the battlefield and they entered into a jihad that was absolutely intense. Awn was reciting, when Awn entered into the battlefield, he introduced himself and he said to the enemies, In tunkiruni fa'ana ibnu Ja'farin, shahidu sidkin fil jinani akdharin, yutiru fiha bijinahin akdharin, kafa bihada sharafun fil mahshar. Awn entered into the battlefield saying to them, if you don't know who I am I am the grandson of Jafar al-Tayyar, that martyr who is in the heavens and traverses paradise with his wings. Enough is this for me as a point of fakhr. And then Muhammad, his brother, was next to him. He addressed the enemies and he said that I shall complain to Allah about the enmity of you people. قَدْ نَكَرُوا مَعَالِمِ الْقُرْآنِ وَمُحْكَمَاتِ التَّنْزِيلِ وَالتِّبْيَانِ. You are people who have trampled upon the Quran and its revelation, and you have manifested shirk and tughyan. The narration Maqtal mentions that On and Muhammad entered into the battlefield like raging lions. Both of them were fighting with each other side by side. They entered into the Maidan as a compact wall. The two sons of Sayyida Zainab were like an army by themselves. So they attacked the right wing and they dismantled it. They attacked the left wing and they dismantled it. Do you know what Imam Sahib al-Zaman in Ziyarat al-Nahiya says? He says, Assalamu alayka ya Muhammad ibn Abdullah ibn Ja'far al-shahidu fi makani abih. Salams on that Muhammad who was fighting as the representative of his father. Allahu Akbar. What does Imam Zamana say? Al-waqi li akhihi bi badanih. Imam al-Hujjah says, salams on that Muhammad who defended his brother as a shield with his own body. Do you know what that means? When they were attacking the left wing, On and Muhammad together, and they were moving as a compact field, Umar ibn Sa'ad said, we can't attack both of them, so focus your attack on all. The enemies came to attack all in all their numbers. Muhammad looks at his brother next to him. Imam al-Hujjah says, Muhammad became a shield for his brother. If they attacked On with a spear, Muhammad stood and took the hit. If they came to attack with On with a sword, Muhammad stood and took the hit of the sword until they attacked the center wing. Over here, Umar ibn Sa'ad said, these two boys, we cannot overcome them. They said, what should we do? Every time we attack On, Muhammad stands as a shield and takes the injuries. So Umar ibn Sa'ad said, separate between On and Muhammad. An entire contingency of horsemen rushing towards the two brothers. Martyrs. On was separated on one side of the battlefield, Muhammad on the other side of the battlefield. Narrations mention On kept attacking and pushing forward, and then two Naeems came with two swords at the same time. They struck On and both of them struck On, two swords and one head. On fell down to the ground. Muhammad turns, he cannot see his brother On anymore, so he keeps pushing forward. Maqtal mentions that the person from Bani Tamim came, and from behind he hit Muhammad on the head with the sword. Allah, Martyrs. Do you know this strike of this Tamimi on the head of Muhammad? What was the impact of this strike? Do you know that majority of the shuhada, when they were struck on the head, they would cry out to Imam al-Hussein. They would say, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. When Qasim was hit on the head, he said, Adrikni ya Abba. But when Muhammad was hit on the head, he didn't say anything. Do you know why? The strike was so intense. Before Muhammad fell to the ground, his ruh had left his body. ماتم حسين ماتم اون محمد.